Let's get started with our next keynote. Today we have with us Jessica Amado, Head of Cyber Research at Sepio Systems. She will be talking about when ransomware meets the physical world. Please feel free to post any questions you might have, and we will do our best to answer them before this session ends. You can also reach out to Sepio Systems by going to the company booth for text, voice, or video chat with the booth manager. So I hand over now to Jessica. Good afternoon, Jessica. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm glad to have you aboard. So I'm just muting my mic right now and hand over the floor to you. So please
Thank you.
share.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, can you see?
We can see. Yes.
Okay.
Perfect. It's perfect.
So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jessie. I'm the head of cyber research at Sepio Systems. And today I'm going to talk about when ransomware meets the physical world. So ransomware is a type of computer virus that encrypts files or systems to make them unavailable, and the perpetrators will demand a payment in return for the decryption key. Ransomware attacks are becoming much more frequent. They've risen by 500% in the last year, and they now occur once every 11 seconds. However, organizations used to be concerned with the data leakage associated with these attacks, but now these attacks are actually having a physical impact, and ransomware is no longer confined to the cyberspace. But why are they having a physical impact? So critical infrastructure facilities once operated their IT and OT in idiosyncratic environments. However, with the development of technology, specifically the industrial Internet of Things, IT and OT are becoming integrated, and critical infrastructure is now operating with cyber physical systems. So now operational technology and machinery is enhanced through computers and IT. So of course, this has been great for production. It's allowed for automated processes, and this has made production quicker, and it's allowed for resources to be allocated elsewhere. However, it's made critical infrastructure more exposed to cyber threats and more vulnerable. So now with lateral movement, thanks to the interconnected environments, an attack on IT can actually permeate through to OT. And of course, with industrial Internet of Things, there are now more entry points that attackers can target to infiltrate critical infrastructure. And often these entry points are more accessible to attackers as they're used in less secure environments. However, operational technology, although it's attacked less than IT, it's not built with cybersecurity in mind. So the effects, the consequences of an attack on OT are much more damaging. And it's more damaging because OT interfaces with the physical world. So an attack on operational technology actually cripples the machinery that's necessary for the physical world to function, essentially. This, of course, is not fiction. It's very real. It happens quite often. A recent attack that gained a lot of attention was the Colonial Pipeline attack. There have been attacks since then, but this one gathered a lot of attention and recognition. And it was a ransomware attack that actually targeted the data systems. However, because of the interconnected environments, Colonial Pipeline shut down their OT for precautionary measures, because they weren't actually sure if the attack had permeated and affected the OT. And this is due to a lack of OT visibility. And it just goes to show how easy it is for an attack on IT to actually affect OT. The physical impact was evident almost immediately. On the East Coast, gas prices went up. There were gas shortages. Gas stations had to close down. Some international flights had to be redirected because of fuel shortages. There were delays to public transport. And President Biden actually called for a state of emergency because of how disruptive the attack was to society. So it just so happens, of course, that critical infrastructure is an extremely valuable target. Critical infrastructure is the body of systems, networks, and assets that are so essential that their continued operation is required to ensure the security of a given nation, its economy, and the public's health and or safety. So when critical infrastructure is attacked, there are many different outcomes that come from it. There's, of course, physical destruction, there is psychological impact, and its mission critical role in society makes the victim, there's more pressure on the victim to pay. The Colonial Pipeline attack lasted just 5 days, and the chaos was so extreme that the company actually paid the $4.4 million ransom. And this is coming from an attack that didn't actually intend to target the operational technology. Dark side, the perpetrators just wanted financial rewards, and of course, this is what they got. However, typically, because of critical infrastructure's importance to upholding national security, typically the perpetrators are more concerned with harming that national security and are less concerned with the financial rewards that come from an attack. So, of course, they're looking to cause physical destruction and psychological impact. And these attackers might be terrorists or state-sponsored groups. And because they are trying to harm national security, they will purposely target the OT. And of course, when they purposely target it, the damages can be extremely harmful. And not only that, but these groups will usually have advanced and sophisticated resources available to them, especially state-sponsored groups. And an attack can manipulate water supplies, they can prevent healthcare operations, they might shut off electricity. And these are not potential scenarios, these are attacks that have actually happened recently and over the last few years. And terrorists are actually, it's more worrying when they attack these critical infrastructure because they are not as concerned with the political backlash that comes with an attack in the same way state-sponsored groups are. And now terrorists, although they might not have the technical capabilities to carry out an attack, there are now groups that offer ransomware as a service. So at some point where terrorists might not have been able to carry out these attacks, they now can. And as I said, because they're less concerned with political backlash, it's very worrying that they can do this because they're looking to cause as much harm as possible. And there's also the risk that attackers might not provide the decryption key. So the attack essentially persists for a longer amount of time and the operational technology is unavailable for longer periods of time, even if the ransom is paid. So of course, there are efforts to improve critical infrastructure's security posture. And recently, President Biden has signed an executive order specifically on how to improve federal agencies' cybersecurity efforts. In the executive order, he's encouraging investments into cybersecurity tools, greater collaboration between agencies to discuss threat intelligence and attack analysis. And one of the most important parts of the executive order is to push for the adoption of the zero trust security model. With zero trust, the issue of the interconnected environment in critical infrastructure is addressed and attempted to be tackled. So with zero trust, organizations benefit from greater network access control, and this limits the interconnectedness between IT and OT through microsegmentation. And it also reduces the blast radius of an attack should there be one. However, the executive order fails to address the issue of hardware security. And without hardware security, critical infrastructure, or any organization for that matter, is actually still exposed to hardware-based attacks, which are carried out by rogue devices. This is our rogue device mitigation hero that protects organizations. And rogue devices can actually bypass all of the security efforts that are currently in place. So these rogue devices sit on the physical layer, which currently goes uncovered by existing security solutions, as this is under the hardware security domain. So they operate under the radar of these existing solutions. And of course, they go undetected, which means that organizations have a lack of control over their devices since there's nothing really there in place to detect their presence. So of course, access policies are not enforced on these devices since they're not detected. And this is how they bypass security solutions, including zero trust network access control. And of course, with IIoT, there are remote access points for attackers to carry out these attacks, since rogue devices require some form of physical access. But yes, with remote entry points, the attacker can simply target any device that's used within the organization, including when they're being used externally. So as you can see, these devices look unsuspecting to the human eye. So not only do security solutions not detect them, but neither would an employee. And we all know employees are the greatest risk to an organization's security. These devices are low cost and easily accessible. So essentially anybody can get their hands on them and purchase them. And with ransomware as a service being offered, basically you don't really need any too much technical skill yourself. Anyone can essentially carry out these attacks, and they are malicious by nature. They have been manipulated to carry out harmful attacks, including ransomware and denial of service attacks, which are specifically harmful to critical infrastructure, as these are the attacks that harm operational technology and prevent the OT from actually being used. The one challenge for attackers when carrying out a rogue device attack is that they need to gain physical access. However, of course, they have many different techniques to gain this physical access, one of them being social engineering. And there are many ways that an attacker might carry out social engineering techniques. One way is to disguise themselves as an important employee, as the CEO or something like that. And this actually gives them physical access to the organization. They might also carry out an evil maid attack, where they will actually disguise themselves as an outsourced cleaning staff, and this very easily gives them access to an organization. They might blackmail an employee or have an employee unwittingly bring a device in. They might target a coffee shop near the intended victim organization to hand out freebies. They might give out the USB Ninja cable that looks like a regular iPhone charger as a freebie, and the chances are somebody from the organization will take one and use it inside. Again, as I mentioned, as the remote entry points, it's not just IIoT. Because of the interconnectedness, they can actually target just any IoT device or BYOD device. And like I said, these are they're often used in less secure environments, and these devices also have fewer security features on them. So it just makes the attacker's job easier. There is also infiltrating the organization through the supply chain. Of course, critical infrastructure supply chain is very large. There are a lot of third parties involved, and it's very difficult to know all of the hardware, all of the security features that each entity is deploying. And actually, a report recently has found that 97% of industrial cybersecurity professionals are concerned about the security of their supply chain. Attackers might manipulate a hardware device during its transit in the supply chain, including IoT devices they can manipulate, or they might simply insert a device at some point in the supply chain with the intention of it eventually reaching the target organization and being used. So, of course, protecting the physical world starts with protection at the physical layer and with hardware security. So this is where Sepio's hardware access control solution comes in. The first capability of the solution is physical layer visibility. With this, organizations benefit from complete hardware asset visibility. HackOne solution detects and identifies all devices operating on the USB and network interfaces. So all IT, OT, and IoT devices, whether they're managed or unmanaged, will be detected and identified by the solution. The solution uses physical layer hardware fingerprinting and machine learning to analyze device behavior by calculating a digital fingerprint of all devices from the electrical characteristics. The hardware access control capability allows the system administrator to define a set of hardware access control rules for the solution to enforce. And of course, with complete visibility, these access policies are effectively enforced because the solution can see all devices and see all devices for what they actually are, and therefore know which policies, when to enforce which rules. The final capability is rogue device mitigation. So the first two capabilities together enable the HackOne solution to actually instantly detect and block any device that breaches the preset rules. In free mode, the solution triggers an alert, and in R mode, the HackOne solution will actually instantly and automatically enact a mitigation process that stops the device. With the solution's built-in threat intelligence database for known to be vulnerable devices, the solution compares the digital fingerprint against known malicious devices to detect when a malicious asset is present in the organization's environment, as well as when a device is vulnerable. And this will also trigger an alert to the system administrator. So with HackOne, the attackers are actually stopped before they even attempt to bypass any security solution, including zero trust. And this stops them instantly before they even attempt their attack. So how does the solution work? On the network layer, the solution works at the physical layer and polls switches with read-only commands, so it doesn't probe any user traffic. It simply detects the activities going on at that layer to detect for malicious network implants. There is no baseline required, so the solution will actually detect network implants that were present before the solution is deployed. And as soon as a device, malicious device is detected, the HackOne solution instigates a mitigation process through other integrated security solutions present within the organization. On the endpoint side, again, the solution covers the physical layer and analyzes device behavior to reveal the device's true identity. So with HackOne, the solution actually differentiates between a legitimate HID and one that is an impersonating tool that's actually spoofing the legitimate HID's characteristics. The solution all in all detects all vulnerable and malicious devices and will instantly block any devices that are detected as malicious. About us, the company was founded in 2016. It is an Israeli-American company, and our founders are industry veterans with a proven track record, having worked together for 29 years. Our HQ is in Maryland, and our R&D is in Tel Aviv and Lisbon. The HackOne solution provides ultimate visibility and rogue device mitigation, and we have global clients across a range of different verticals, telecom, government, finance, and of course, any entity within critical infrastructure. Thank you for listening, and if you have questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Thank you very much, Jessica. We have a couple of questions, actually one question and one remark. One of the questions is, would you elaborate on the prevention mechanisms on the hardware side, such as PUF for rogue device mitigation?
How it blocks the device?
Yeah, I suppose. I understand from this question, how do you mitigate risk on, on that specific, challenge? So says, how will you elaborate on the prevention mechanisms on the hardware side, such as PUF for rogue device mitigation?
So essentially, the solution gathers all the physical layer information of a device. And because the rogue devices are manipulated on the physical layer or hide on the physical layer, this is how they go undetected. And the physical layer visibility provided by the hack solution is what detects the presence of a vulnerable or malicious device. And in on the endpoint side, in R mode, it automatically will block the device, so the device will not be able to be used. it's blocked, and on the network side, it instructs other integrated solutions to block the device, whether it's breaching the preset policy or it's been detected as malicious. We have a built-in threat intelligence database for known to be malicious devices, which is compared with the device's digital fingerprint to know when it's malicious.
I mean, it's clarifying, saying that it's referring to the creation of signatures. So it's asking what is being used. It is POF?
Oh,
that I'm not sure about.
Okay.
About the technicalities.
Hello.
No problem. No problem.
Hello, Jose. Can I answer that question?
Absolutely. Please go ahead.
Yes. So my name is Ben.
Right?
Yes, my name is Ben. I'm one of the co-founders for the company, and thank you, Jesse, for this presentation. With regards to the actual creation of signature, so we don't use PUF. What we do is we actually probe the actual real-time physical layer characteristics as they are being reflected and presented by the actual switching infrastructure, whether it's a switch or a wireless controller or a router. So that means that we will probe all the physical layer characteristics, whether these are MIR registers, PoE parameters, I patterns of the signals, jitter parameters, everything that is actually being measured in real time, and not just kind of something that was embedded on the physical layer on the device itself. So hopefully that answers your question, Ismail.
Yeah, thanks, Jessica and Ben. No, it is clarified. Cool. So there is another remark here. Frankly speaking, it is physical security best practice learned over centuries and an IT security best practice learned over the last several decades. It provides a much more robust security posture than a simple perimeter-only defense for zero trust security. Okay, cool. So, so this covers about everything. I want to remind the audience that you can continue the discussions with the Sepio systems over the booth. They have a virtual booth there. And they are going to be presenting also during the North America and Latin track later today. So please don't miss us out. So thank you very much, Jessica, for this interesting presentation, and also Benzi for helping us to address the question. It's my pleasure to have you here with us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Ben.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.